you. Commissioner Banks, you'll lead us in invocation. Everyone, please stand if you can.
Father, once again, we thank you, Lord, for your loving kindness and your multitude of tender mercies. We continually pray for our community and our citizens of God, and pray for each commissioner and their family and the people that stay adjacent around our community. We ask all this in your Son Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone, for being here at this special meeting. The date is November 29th. We have present all commissioners. Charles Rudd is also in attendance, as is our city attorney, Bobby Pickens. With that, I have a few announcements. I hope everyone had a nice Thanksgiving. Glad to have that behind us, and now we can get ready for the next big eating event. This weekend, we've got a busy weekend. We have starting Friday evening, we have two events. We have the Light Up Crescent City. And Charles, I want to thank you for all the effort you've put into the lights. You've given people kind of a sneak preview. I also want to thank Craig. He is in the audience, and Craig has been a sidekick when he was when he could be. As he said earlier, I'm not sure if it's up to Charles's standards, but we're going to do the best we can. So I thank you also. This is going to be in connection with CCBC, and we thank you for what you're doing. It should be a really nice event. Also, on Friday evening, we have Gospel Between the Lakes. That's going to be between 5:30 and 9. That's going to be at Market Square. And I've heard they've got some great music, so please make sure you can go back and forth. Make sure you attend both events. It'll be convenient for parking, that's for sure. Saturday morning, we have our Christmas parade. It's going to start lining up at 11 o'clock at the South State Bank. It is to take off at 12 noon. We also have the Christmas extravaganza, which is going to be, we're having our Christmas bazaar that is at the First Presbyterian Church. That's the Silver Tea, and that's going to be from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. So you can go before the parade and after. That will also be Saturday, and that's going to be in their Warner Fellowship Hall. We have, beginning, I believe, at 11 o'clock, the Yacht Club is going to kick off their holiday fireworks spectacular. And so they'll have vendors up and down. I believe, Sarah, you're going to be there, and we've got other vendors that will be there. So it'll be up and down Central Avenue, I believe, from is it from Prospect down?
It is.
Okay, from Prospect down. So make sure you come out, and my understanding is they will be setting off the fireworks at dusk.
I want to make sure I get this now. The parade is going to start at 12.
Parade will be there at 11.
Okay. Be there,
Yes,
line
sir.
up at 11.
Lineup starts at 11, yes, sir.
All right.
And the parade's to begin at 12 o'clock. We also have, a citizen who's taken this upon herself, and she wants to do something for the children. Just kind of a, let's get ready for Christmas. So she's doing a Christmas extravaganza. That's going to be December 16th at Eva Line Park. That's going to be from 9 to 1. So we have a busy December kicking off. Got a lot of things going on here in Crescent City. The Arts and Farmers Market, they had a nice turnout. So with that, let's get down to business. Charles, I guess we'll start with
You gonna do public comments?
public comments. Yes. We'll do public comments first. So at this time, I'm going to open up public comments. If there's anything that you would like to come and speak to us about that does not pertain to the agenda, please, by all means, step forward, state your name, your address, and you have approximately 3 minutes. Okay. See nobody coming forward. With that, I'm going to close public comments, and we're going to go to our first public hearing. This is going to be the second reading of ordinance 2022-29, amending the fiscal year 2022 budget. With that, Charles, I'm going to turn it over to you.
An ordinance of the City of Crescent City, Florida, amending fiscal year 2021-2022 budget to match actual revenues and expenditures.
Mayor, this is the second reading of this ordinance, and the commission had asked me to add comments to for anything that was, way over or way under what had been budgeted and projected, so I did that on the spreadsheet, Exhibit A. And then what I discovered in the meantime, if you look at the cover letter I had sent out to you, I didn't do a very good job of explaining the CRA carry forward, and there was some confusion expressed at the last meeting, and then in the meantime, it was brought to my attention that it doesn't make sense. And so what I passed out to you was a new one, and the error that was made was the carry forward for the amended budget. I was given the amount we carried into this year, rather than just bringing forward and confirming carry forward from the previous year. So if you look on the new cover letter I sent out, the general fund's the same. The CRA fund shows in the right-hand column the actual revenues, the actual carry forward into that last year. I added the interest, which was not there, $124, and then the actual expenditures, and then it shows I expressed it as gain loss, as I did in the other funds. So what we brought into this current year was $62,895.06 for the central, $96,487.75 for the north, and $67,56.98 for the south. So discovering that had me look at the spreadsheet again, and I realized that our finance director was not very familiar with CRA funds and bringing that fund balance forward. And in a CRA and a Better Place fund, anything that's left over at the end of the year, you show it as spendable money the next year, and you budget it for something. And so the first 4 pages I handed out to you are the revenue side of the legal size paper. If you look at this one.
Oh, that.
Yeah, that I handed out. I just recopied the revenue. I highlighted in yellow. And again, she had done the same thing. She put in the right-hand column, that's the amended budget. She put the wrong carry forward. She put what we brought into this year. So I corrected that, highlighted it in yellow so that it matches the budgeted amount. We're just confirming that was the carry forward into the new fiscal year. And then, if you recall, I noticed the CRA fund showed that we had budgeted for a $16,000 deficit, which I knew we budgeted to zero. I knew that was incorrect. So I looked at the expenditures, which are the other sheets starting on 18 of 25, and I highlighted under the budgeted column the changes to actually reflect what we adopted. There were errors in the system. I believe previous finance director inputted the budget improperly last fall after we adopted it. And so that showed that we had budgeted for a deficit, which we didn't do. We budgeted to zero. So those pages have highlighted in yellow. It's things like in the central CRA, the health and life insurance number was just a few dollars difference. There was a stormwater and sidewalk repair fund, which had been in the previous year. We've gotten rid of it, but it still showed up in your packet. It shows $10,000 we had budgeted. Same thing, materials and supplies in the central CRA. We had budgeted zero, and in your packet it shows I think $7,000 or $8,000. So I took those out. The budgeted amount now comes to zero, budgeted expenditures as we adopted last year. So I wanted to point those out to you. And then I fixed my cover letter to accurately reflect the gain or loss, we would say, in the other funds to the CRA and the Better Place. I hope that explanation makes sense. Took the better part of today to straighten all that out.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. And so when you look at your cover letter, though, let me just clarify. So if it was a loss, if there was going to be a loss there,
It'd be in red.
It would be in red. Okay.
Still, only the water fund experienced a loss.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioners. Can I get a motion of acceptance? Or a motion to move for the ordinance second reading?
I shall move.
I second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Okay, let's start with discussion, and we should probably start with Commissioner Burton. If you you made the motion, so is there anything, any questions you have or any discussion?
Good.
Okay. Anybody else have any
Mm,
questions or discussion? Commissioner Bailey?
I'm good. Charles did a pretty good job of kind of outlining how it's supposed to be.
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Bailey?
Well, I'm kind of coming late into the game in this. I've looked over a lot of things, trying to get familiar with the budget in a couple sessions was a little difficult, but it seemed like the earnest effort to make everything budget at zero accomplished. But,
When we start, and unfortunately you weren't part of the budget process, but as we, this is for our last fiscal year budget, but when you budget, you've got to have a balance. You have to start with a balanced budget, so everything has to match, zero out.
And when we took out the sidewalk fund and the stormwater repair, I thought it was 00 and it's 5,500. Why did we eliminate that?
Well, we have a line we call repair and maintenance, so we just had,
So it's covered somewhere
Yeah.
else.
yeah, we did pour some sidewalk last year, and we didn't do any stormwater repair, but we did do some sidewalk.
And the total better planning expenditures, I see the health and life insurance is listed, there 147, and it says again at the back page. Is that a double listing or is that under a different category?
I'm sorry, the,
147.68, so I believe
See,
it
it's
was,
here, it was there and then on the last page as well.
well,
yeah,
because-
each of the funds had a little bit,
Each
split
of-
that cost along
Yeah.
the 3 CRA funds for the CRA manager position.
Okay, so, but that's not a duplicate.
Yeah.
Correct.
No.
There's nothing further.
Commissioner DeVito?
Yes, just first of all, as to how we're handling the corrections, and Charles, I understand a lot of this work has fallen on you, and, but I'm just uncomfortable, and I would like some input from our city attorney. Hi, Bob. Yes, so we have an ordinance that was posted online in the packet, and now we're substituting pages, some of which are not numbered. They don't say, like, for example, your cover memo doesn't say revised, it just has a different date. You've given us a verbal explanation, but there's no written explanation. Bobby, can we just substitute pages in an ordinance? Because the figures are different. This is different from the first reading, correct?
It is. The figures that are different are primarily showing what we budgeted a year ago. And so they're not substantive in terms of what the actuals were. And then, so the carry forward, we adjusted the carry forward amount, which is an actual, but it's not changing we're not saying we changed what we spent. So we haven't done, I talked to Andrew at Clarion, I asked him would we be able to pass this on second reading. He said, the changes are not substantive, you're not changing what you spent or what your revenue amounts were. So he felt we could pass it tonight.
And the ordinance that was published is not being changed, correct? The actual ordinance?
The ordinance, there's no
Just
change to
the
the ordinance, just
exhibit
the exhibit.
Okay.
But the exhibit is incorporated as part of the ordinance.
Yes.
So what do we do about that?
I mean, the law, the final ordinance that's adopted is supposed to be available for inspection by the public 10 days prior to adoption. That's what the law is.
I mean, should we?
I think
post
there
it?
gets a point where, is this something that's in controversy, or is this something that gets us to a point where we need to close out the budget? I think that can be taken into consideration. I don't think it's not as if this ordinance has been changed and now money is gonna be spent differently. But yes, you are correct. The black letter of the law is that the final ordinance that's gonna be passed on second reading has to be in its entirety and available to the public 10 days prior to the adoption of the ordinance.
We could do second reading in December, next Wednesday.
I'm asking, I don't know what we should do, and it just concerns me, because we've had this come up before, when items are, we have financial documents that are posted online, but people don't understand, I mean, there's more to it than what's posted online. And they get confused. And as well, as the city attorney just said, we have an obligation to post what we're actually going to consider. I mean, that part concerns me, that when you, I don't know where people would find the ordinance when they go and look. I mean, should we post an amended packet?
I mean, I think that it just has to be, I mean, reasonable accessibility to the public. If they come in and wanted to see it, it needs to be ready for them to view it 10 days prior to the adoption.
We've actually missed the advertising deadline next week, so couldn't be the 7th, I'm sorry, we missed the advertising deadline
We
for
have to
that.
do a special meeting.
We have to do another special meeting.
So,
Which is fine. I mean, if we have to do that, we have to do that.
And that, from what I understand, prior to last year, we weren't doing this process
Yeah.
at all,
Yeah.
so,
So does somebody go to jail if we pass it tonight with these few changes that really don't change anything, just explain things a little bit more in detail? Who goes to jail if we go ahead and pass it?
I mean, I don't think it's that, to that level of severity. It's just, it's one of those things that the law says what it says, but then at the same time, I mean, the argument can be made that there were changes that were made, but they were not substantive changes to the extent, I mean, it's not even necessarily transferring money in actual accounts, it's just balancing the budget out.
It's
at the end of
closed
the
out.
year.
It's already closed out.
It's already closed
But
out.
at the same time, the law says 10 days prior to adoption, so
Okay, so let's have a special meeting, what do I do?
You need to rescind your motion.
I'll rescind my motion,
Okay?
and
Rescind your-
I'll make a
rescind your
motion to
second.
go to a special meeting.
Okay.
I rescind the second
Oh, thank you.
special meeting.
I'm just getting ahead of you.
Okay.
On that specific point, I think it's kind of important, ahead of time, I've got 2 different copies here as well, that the pages be numbered and dated. So,
yeah, for some reason, the revenue side didn't number it,
Yeah.
the other dates numbered.
and I think the date's important too, goes along with the 10 days. We don't know if this is Exhibit A, version 1, 2, B, C, whichever it is. I think if you're gonna put it up there and it'd be binding, you probably need to have Exhibit A final or dated, the 10 days before.
Thank you.
So we want to set a date.
Everybody get the calendar out.
How about December 21st?
Second the motion after Commissioner Barton.
Oops.
Commissioner Banks, and he rescinded his second. So we're gonna have to do.
Second his motion.
Mhm.
Thank you.
21st, does that work for everybody?
21st, and can we have it a little more, instead of 6 o'clock at night, can we do it at a more reasonable, maybe 3 o'clock in the afternoon type deal?
If the commission agrees.
What time?
I can do the
I-
21st.
Yeah, I'm thinking around, 3 o'clock or so we're out of here
That'd be better for
at a
me.
reasonable hour, rather than.
What day is that, the 21st?
It's a Wednesday.
Wednesday.
And this is really, I mean, really, this is more a formality. This is what we're doing, this is a formality, so. So I think that if we were to do it at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, that should be
That good for you?
fine.
So that's your motion?
That's my motion.
So you want to make
That's
a,
second.
so you made a motion to,
To have the meeting on December.
on
December.
December 21st?
21st.
At 3 p.m.
At 3 p.m.
Okay.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so moved.
Okay. Okay, what do you-
Yeah, we go on to that.
Next item is to introduce and for discussion, the idea of meeting rules and procedures. Commissioner DeVito has brought this up on a number of occasions and provided a sample from Newport Ritchie which I took and then changed out the name to give you a draft, simply to start the conversation. So that was in your packet. It's basically, much of it is what we already do, but it formalizes it in a procedural document where rules of procedure for not only the commission, but for the public, for their 3 minutes, that they need to address the chair of the podium rather than the audience or other speakers. And so this is something to discuss. Also on your table was some more information was sent in, a recommendation. There's an email there, a recommendation to include a summary of Robert's Rules of Order as well. So I will put this on the December agenda for a motion. We won't have a resolution because the Daily News moved their deadline 3 days earlier, so we didn't make a deadline to advertise a resolution for December, so we'll have opportunity to discuss it some more in December and bring you a resolution in January. But tonight's the idea to start that conversation and see what direction you want to take.
Do you feel like we should do it, that we should workshop it, or how do you feel?
I move to workshop this.
I think this is gonna, I think this is gonna take some discussion.
I think there's gonna be a lot of ideas on where we wanna go with this.
Right. And we need time.
Be able to talk it through,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
Is there any way we could post this for public so they know?
Workshops
Maybe
are
what
always
we're looking for.
posted.
Yeah, the information in your packet is available on the website.
Yeah.
And then this additional information will scan in and add it to the packet for the
I'm
workshop.
just hoping to make sure that the public knows that they'll be under the same guidelines, whatever we come up with.
Yeah,
I think it'll be a little bit better for a little more order and stability.
absolutely. So do we want to, since we just added a meeting to December, you want to look at January for that workshop?
Yeah, we better not put too many meetings.
yeah.
Is our docket full on the 7th?
You don't wanna, you really don't wanna probably do
If we did a workshop, that'd be earlier in the day.
maybe earlier in the day, but something like this, it might be something that some of the public might want to.
I'll pull it off the agenda for the 7th, then if we're going to workshop it.
Could I speak to that, please?
Yes.
I have brought this up in the past for a couple of reasons. One is, and I keep meaning to touch base with our city attorney about this, the Government in the Sunshine Manual and Chapter 286 speak to the fact that we're supposed to have rules and procedures. Our charter requires us to set rules and procedures. The commission is supposed to do so. And as far as I know, we've never actually voted on it. What the rules that are printed on our agenda have changed several times. Before Charles was here, after Charles came. These are really.
That's what, you understand, that's what we're looking at right now, is
Yeah.
how we're going to go forward and establish these.
Right, but I'm saying it's not that complicated. I think what Charles has given us is, as he said, pretty much a resolution that formalizes what our practice has been, and as well, we have some obligation to follow Chapter 286, and we haven't done that for a long time. So I don't know, I came prepared to discuss it today, but I guess if we need to discuss it later, we can. I mean, it's having us vote on basically what we already do with some changes regarding civility that are part of Robert's Rules of Order. It's not that complicated. And I have some concerns about the items that were submitted by the public.
May I say something?
Well, I'm not gonna.
She still has the floor.
One observation about Robert's Rules of Orders is a number of commissions use them. However, Robert's Rules of Order as a whole were not designed for collegial commission bodies. The main portions of Robert's Rules of Orders that commissions use are the procedures for discussion and passing motions. A lot of Robert's Rules of Order are designed for large conventions and for private organizations, not public organizations. Part of it is a formality on how you take up motions, and that is the part that most city commissions use. As well, we are governed by our charter and we are governed by Florida law. So, for example, one of these items here, general rules of order for boards and commissions, I believe it references North Carolina.
Commissioner DeVito, she
Yeah.
gave that to us more as a suggestion, so it's not something that we have to follow, it's a suggestion.
Right.
So,
But I guess what I'm saying is, since we're governed by Florida law,
I understand North
Right, I think
Carolina
we
does
should
not
look-
apply.
to Florida examples,
Right.
to make sure that we don't deviate. And the other point about Robert's rules, a large part of Robert's rules, particularly limiting debate, are for private organizations that are not governed by the Sunshine Law. Florida collegial bodies get into a lot of trouble when they try to limit debate because the meeting is the only time that an item can be discussed.
However, we can set those rules if we determine so that we want to limit debate on our own. We have that ability to do that as part of our
Sure, of
policies
course.
and procedures.
Right, of course we do, but our basic obligation is to conduct our business in the public, and it is transparency 101 and good government in Florida to make sure that A, everything is discussed in public, and B, that the public does not get the impression that things are being done outside of meetings. So, the main purpose of the rules are to facilitate, not to complicate. And I think that's what we need to stick to.
Okay, thank you
I think
very
our
much.
charter dictates that we will follow Robert's Rules of Order, doesn't it?
I believe it
Yeah.
references that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd like to call
Commissioner
the
Burke.
question, please. Call the question. I'd like to vote on the motion I made to table this at a later date and move forward with whatever else we're dealing with tonight.
Well, we haven't set, I understand that, we haven't set, a date when we're going to do the motion to
The workshop date.
The workshop day.
the workshop date.
So our regular January meeting's on the 12th. And the planning and zoning is
Yes,
the
I did.
19th.
Yeah.
Would you like to do it prior to, would you want to do it at 4 o'clock on the 12th?
It's up to y'all.
If everybody's available on the 12th.
That works.
Does that work for you, Commissioner Banks? It'll be locked out. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna need a motion that we do this, workshop this.
She has a motion on the floor to workshop
Did
it.
she work?
I
did she
have a
make-
motion, yes, I did.
Can
to
you add
workshop
that,
this
can you add the, would you like to add
on,
the date?
yes, on January 12th.
Okay,
And what time would you like to,
4 o'clock, we said.
okay, I'm sorry, I missed that.
That's okay.
At 4 p.m.?
I'll second that.
Okay. So we have a motion and we have a second. Do we have any further discussion?
The discussion.
Go ahead.
You reckon that gonna give people time to come in? Cause I'm pretty sure we're gonna get some input from the public. And not too many people knock off until about 4:30 or 5. It's just something to think about,
Right.
you know. 'Cause
We've got a regular meeting at 6, right?
Yes,
Right afterwards, yeah.
yeah, we have a regular meeting at 6.
Okay, I'll rescind the motion, and
It was-
let's change the date, really. The motion would be for January 10th at 5 p.m.
January what? I think?
January 10th,
10th.
at 5 p.m. Is that a Thursday? What day is that?
No, that's a
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Tuesday, okay.
January 10th.
All right, I need a second.
I second it.
Thank you.
Okay, so, January 10th
at 5 p.m.
at 5 p.m. We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Okay, motion carries. Okay, let's move on to,
Mayor, the next item is also an introduction for discussion on traffic calming measures. We've talked a lot about traffic calming for well over a year. And just Commissioner Burton submitted this is really a white paper on other means of calming traffic other than stop signs and speed bumps. Whether narrowing a lane or the intersection or putting in a roundabout. So very interesting article, and I'm going to let her take it from here in terms of starting a discussion, kind of just raising awareness of the commission of what our options are, rather than just plugging in a speed bump or a stop sign.
I'd like to make a motion for a workshop on this as well. I think that we still kind of have a few camps on this. A lot of people want speed bumps. I just think that we need to try and understand that there's other options out there that would be more aesthetically better for the city and would provide the same type of traffic calming. We're getting ready to take a look at Pine Street. I think we gave them what, about 3 months ago?
January.
To January. This is why this has come up. And anyway, I think the sooner we get this done, the better.
do you want to do it following the January 10th meeting? Would you like to do it then?
Sure, we can do it then.
Okay, immediately following. So do you want to add that to your,
To my motion. Okay, so make a motion to have a workshop on traffic calming measures on January 10th at 5 p.m. I don't know how you want to put it on the agenda, or should I say 6 p.m.?
Immediately following.
immediately following,
okay.
yeah.
Immediately
At
following.
5, immediately following.
The workshop for rules and procedures.
Okay.
I second that.
Okay, so we have a second. Commissioners, do we have any comments?
Yeah, I do.
Yes, sir.
Because I'm glad this come up tonight. I didn't know it was on the agenda. But I've been doing a survey myself right there on Grand, at Grand Rondo and 308. Somebody gonna get hurt there. You know, I don't think we still got the sufficient thing, what we need up there to slow people down. And I can witness that about 4 or 5 times this week. Fellow was riding a bicycle, and fellow was walking his dog, and somebody came off 308, and just zoom. When the minute they don't see nobody there, they accelerate, and they cut right up the next street. And I seen that 5 times this week. So what we got up there, I don't know what we can do. I don't know how we going to have to deal with it. But we need to do something kind of
Well, it's,
immediately.
so we need to discuss it.
Yeah.
That's something. When he's done, are you?
Yeah, but I just wanted to throw that out, because I'm glad it was on the agenda tonight, so, because it was on my heart heavy. We need to do something.
Okay. Commissioner DeVito?
Yes, I'm glad that Commissioner Banks brought up Grand Rondo and 308. The traffic calming issue we've been discussing since 2021. We had a workshop in October 2021, and we talked about several areas in town, and the only action that was taken was for Pine Street. But we have had residents from Grand Rondo here recently, more than once, asking us for speed bumps on Grand Rondo. So my concern is, and Commissioner Banks is, he's not the only one that's seeing issues. I think Commissioner Bailey brought it up. I've experienced it on my bicycle. Can we add Grand Rondo 308 to the workshop? Because right now it's only concerning Pine Street. Is that not correct?
No, I think
No,
it's
it's
traffic
all
calming,
traffic
this is traffic calming in general.
Oh, this is traffic calming in
Yeah.
general?
That's
Okay. 'cause the-
Options, if you'll look through that packet and see, there's different options, horizontal deflection, there's horizontal narrowing, there's barrier installation. So it's just in general, what we as a city can look at ways in which we can use these. These are different methods that we can use throughout the city in order to help with these traffic issues that we have.
Okay, because the reason I asked is because the city manager's memo specifically references the Pine Junction, Reed Street, the roadblock. Then, okay, so this is traffic calming in general. And I have one more comment about that. The white paper is very good, but there's no price tags on anything. And I would think if we were going to have a workshop, that it would be helpful to have some price tags.
I think you ought to go out and check that out.
Pardon?
Well, I think we have
Okay,
to decide what we
she's-
want
Yeah.
first before we give prices. That's all.
Well, but that's kind of which comes first, the chicken or the egg, because we have some urgent issues, and the white paper itself says that some of your decisions will be driven by cost. So I think that we're not moving this forward very much if we do not have cost options in front of us, because at some point, I mean, we've been doing this for over a year now. We had a workshop October 2021, and we have not gotten any solutions that we consider permanent for either Pine Street or other areas where residents have been coming. So I would like to see us have some cost.
Okay,
And we have to have a cost and a source of funds for anything that we do, or we will not be doing it.
really?
We did get an estimate on a roundabout design, $15,000
Yeah.
to design the roundabout. That's just one
That's the
particular
design,
kind of
but
roundabout.
that's
That's
just,
just the
that's
design?
just the design, that's just the design, is
Right, I'm
$15,000.
Just saying, there
There are other kinds of roundabouts.
Right, but there are a lot
There's
of,
the bump outs, so maybe what you can do, if you can, maybe work with Keith and try to get us, that if we were to do some of these, if we were to do some bump outs, because there's bump outs in here, that we have just some approximations,
Yeah, I'll do what I can.
that if you could do that, that would be helpful.
Mayor,
Yes, sir?
in the legal part of it, I was thinking about that thing today when I seen this particular one today. I say now, I know the state or the county one got control of 308, but my understanding that the streets in the city is under our jurisdiction.
Yes,
It
So,
is, they are.
yeah, so we can deal from there.
yes.
Cause, Grand Rondo, until it comes out on 308, is under our jurisdiction.
It is.
Yeah.
I'd like to ask a question. I know, Charles, you and Commissioner Burton met with the county, is that correct? That's correct. At what point would that Grand Rondo, what would they allow us to do right there at that intersection? At what point can we just right where Grand
They talked
Rondo
about
starts?
redesigning the curb,
That's exactly what we talked about.
reshaping it, but the cost would be on us to lay a new curb to direct the,
But they were
Narrow that
open and
down.
willing to allow us to do
They
that?
were.
Yes.
Okay, okay. So Commissioner DeVito, if he was to get you some of these prices, that would,
like, I
they're
think,
gonna be approximations, because you understand that, especially when you're dealing with concrete, it's fluctuation, there's fluctuation in the market constantly. But at least if we have an approximation, you know, and then the other part of this is, the planning that goes into it, you know, just like you did for the roundabout, the planning for the roundabout.
yeah, it's gonna depend on the size or whatever, that, so it'll be in yards of concrete, and it'll be a challenge to get some accurate pricing, but we can maybe give you a ballpark
I'm sorry, pricing for the,
solution. So if we say we wanna do bulb outs curbing, so we got to measure how many linear feet of curbing are we talking about? Is it gonna be filled with plants or brick pavers? There are a lot of variables, so.
So you
it'll
can't,
be a
he can't
challenge.
give you any exact numbers. He can't give you any exact
Well,
numbers.
I would consider we all need the numbers, and we need to have a ballpark idea of what can we get done for a cost that we can afford. So,
I can reach out to other communities that
Yeah.
maybe have done something, and they can tell me what it cost them 2 years ago or whatever when they did it.
but there are some lower cost items. There are what the bumper treads, the treads that make the noise. Those are in here. Speed bumps and speed tables are in here. I'm sure costs of everything have gone up.
Now, I do have in stock, I bought rubber bumpers. You know, they're only about this high and that wide, and I bought 4 sets of them if we needed to put them out and try and, you know, offset them, so if somebody tries to go around in their lane, they go through the other lane. I bought 2 signs that say bumps ahead. We could put those out, you just nail them in and remove them if you don't like it. And
Well,
Those were the temporary ones,
they're
correct?
temporary,
I
yeah.
would like to see that done. I'd like to thank Commissioner Banks. I live on Grand Rondo, and what he's saying is absolutely true. We need to do something, but my biggest question is if we do anything, what funding department does it come out of, and is there adequate funding for this?
It'd be capital expense, to come out of the Better Place Fund. That's about the only place, unless it's inside the CRA, which Grand Rondo is not, so could be a Better Place project.
And that's what I was looking at, is what division of the funding we have, which is resources we have, can we even consider some of these things with adequate funding that we may or may not have?
Yeah, right now, most of the Better Place is undesignated. That's one of the things we need to have as a workshop on Better Place.
How much funding is in that Better Place fund? And is there any way to replenish that?
Yeah, it's replenished annually.
I know, but is there any way to take other
It
funds out of
gets
somewhere to
income,
replenish
it gets
it like
income,
that?
it gets funded annually. The other thing is
Now, does that get re-upped January 1st? Like there's gonna be a new.
We're expecting a couple $100,000 this year in Better Place, new revenue, and we're rolling over under 300,000, so there's 400,000 or so in Better Place that we'll need to kind of decide what our priorities are. But for projects like that, you want to do something to make your community a better place, you can do traffic calming. and
I can think
improve
of
the
no better
community.
place than Grand Rondo to start.
Yeah.
Pine Street as well, I know, but I watch every day as I walk my dog up and down there, kids almost get hit. And the only time it really does anything is when they take off from one speed bump till they hit the stop sign as fast as they can go.
Yeah, we were cleaning up the Hurricane Ian debris in the trailer there, and I watched a guy, the trailer said 45. I watched him just fly past the trailer going up to the stop sign. Didn't slow at all.
Yeah, I asked the captain last time he was here for his report, they put that sign there with the speed, went through, and I know it can clock it, but I was really interested in knowing what was the top speed there, because I can tell you, I've seen some 60, 70 mile an hour stuff through there, being there all the time. But, us considering to do this stuff's the right thing to do.
and you're gonna get this, every community speeding is the #1 issue that every community right now across the country experiences, and so, it's just, what can we do? The roundabout, the design, once we did that design, we could use that same design, is that
We
correct?
can use it all over the city,
Okay.
just repeat it. So we'd I think we'd get our money out of it if we used it again and again.
Okay, is there anything else, Commissioner DeVita?
I just have a suggestion. I'm not sure that we've defined the exact problem we're trying to solve on Pine Street, between Reed and Junction, or is it between, Junction and Lemon? We have not really defined the area. Residents have come and talked about problems all up and down there. And when we do talk about it, it seems like it would be helpful to have a schematic in front of us, a street map that shows which streets we're talking about. Because we've talked about north, south, east, west, it's all theoretical. It would help to have it on a piece of paper that we could all look at the same thing and know what we're talking about.
And we can put a map up on, Google Maps up on the screen on the wall during the workshop.
There,
So you
you
can move
want
around
pretty
the
much
city.
know what streets, and
Right, but,
small town, you kind of learn that, so.
right, but the problem covers more than one block.
Of course it does.
I think at that intersection, we were addressing running the stop sign at high speeds,
Right.
rolling into that neighborhood. So it was both speeding and running the four-way stop. So that's why we just shut it down.
Right, and ATVs, mopeds, We have, we have everything from small motorized vehicles that aren't even supposed to be on the roadway to, I think the issue was raised also with the truck traffic. That's damaged curbs and signs, the periodically broken curb at Lemon and Pine, and I think that's from trucks.
With that, right now, we have, before we go forward, we have a motion, and we have a second on the table. I do know that we have some residents from Pine Street, it looks like, and so I do want to give them an opportunity to speak before we take this to a vote for the workshop.
And the only thing I would suggest, since it seems, we've been talking about this for a long time, and, is maybe make that a special meeting if there is a consensus between the commission, then you can add, because if not, you're gonna have to wait almost 3 weeks before it gets on.
Okay.
I mean, you can treat it as if it's a workshop, open dialogue with the public, but if it's advertised as a special meeting, then y'all can take action.
Can we do that as a workshop on the 10th and then put that on the agenda, have it agended?
Could have already agenda.
And already agended our general meeting?
Yeah,
On the
I guess
12th?
it would be,
That's what I was
well,
kind of
hopefully
hoping
it's
we
not on
could
the
do.
12th, but that's later on.
That's January.
For January.
We're January.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, wait, yeah, sorry, I was going all the way to February, never mind.
Okay, I know you got February in mind,
What's going on?
okay, then,
We're heavy.
we're in January.
But I would like to say that I would like to see Mr. Rudd do just what he said, for us to do, implement it immediately, put those bumps and the things in there to begin with, see if it even just helps a little bit between now and then. It wouldn't hurt at all. Anything we do to stop any of it right now is just money in the bank.
Okay. At this time, I'm gonna open it up for public comment. Would you like to?
Yep. Craig Sargent, 400 Pine Street. I don't know if you have any paperwork that I brought in the other day, but I talked to everybody on Pine Street. And it's 13 houses. Some of them don't actually have a Pine Street address, it's still on the corner. And I talked to them too. And of those 13, 12 of them would like to see it shut down at the end of Pine on the north side of Reed, if they're going to open the other. All right? If they're not, then, all right, let's see, one person will want it closed where we suggested, if that's going to be reopened. Everyone else wants it closed.
Okay. Did everyone get a copy of, did you put this?
No, I just gave it to your host.
Oh,
Did it now?
I'm sorry, I thought everybody had a copy of
Nope,
it.
I don't have.
No.
Okay,
Do you want me to go make copies?
please, yeah.
Now, everyone else wants that section
I
closed.
apologize, it was, it was in
I
the
was just told
box,
to put it in your box,
and he
so.
just,
The one guy that doesn't want it closed would like speed bumps. He has concern, 17 or old 17, he has traffic concerns. But other than that, I did hear everybody mention speeding. And I had a couple people mention, they're on the very south end of Pine where Miller's Field takes over on that they witnessed drug dealing going on back there, and I told them call the sheriff. But I also think that, none of them have been here very long, I've only been here a year, I think that is a lot less than what maybe used to go on. So I do believe that is an improving situation. But as far as the street closure, I talked to the residents to get an idea, but then I told them I'd keep them posted. So what I'd like to know is, whatever decision you guys make, it will not be until after the workshop, or?
it'll be
Won't be until the 12th.
2 days later, 2 days after the workshop.
So
We'll
if
have
I
to
go back and
take
tell,
action.
talk to my neighbors, nothing's gonna change down there until at least 2 days after that workshop.
Yes,
Is that
at least the 12th. It'll be the 13th. They would act on the 12th, and then the next day we would
Okay,
implement the
cool.
13th.
That's all I want.
You live there, sir. What do you think should be implemented?
You know what? If you close that street down there, I just became a cul-de-sac. So I'm all for the closure, but I also understand that people got, trailers and stuff, landscape people, they got concerns, they won't come in. And I don't have kids, I don't have to go anywhere, I'm perfectly content with closing the end of the road there. And, yeah, it's a lot quieter. We have a lot less traffic with it closed where it is closed. You know, I'm fine with that. But if I had my druthers, I would close it right there at the end of Pine.
The north side of the intersection.
Correct.
So
Before
you
you
do
even,
know where it's closed now?
but that's my selfish preference.
I got an idea what he's talking about.
No one's gonna come down,
Do it
no one's
here
gonna come
instead
down
of here.
Pine
So this road.
unless they
would be
belong
wider.
Right.
or they're
Right.
dead end street.
Right.
It would still.
Right now,
flow down and
it's,
it's
people
flow.
come up that way,
It was slow
and when
again.
they can get through, they're coming up there to get into town. But There's, I don't think, there's too many other areas for them to be able to access town other than coming up by our street, especially at the high rate.
Right.
This is good information, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
And
good.
people could still come in here.
Thank you.
Go up to the street.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay,
Right.
or thank you.
Are we supposed to be talking to each other in a meeting?
She just explained to me what he was talking about.
I don't think we can do that.
Well,
It won't be a
I
great
appreciate
thing to
it.
do.
I mean,
Well, I was just explaining to him where this, I'll be happy, here's my diagram, if you'll share with her the diagram that I shared with you.
she just showed me what he was talking about, the north end.
So, thank you, yes, ma'am.
Sarah Sargent, 400 Pine Street. I'm totally for what he said. I feel the same way. Yes, our druthers, we would like to see it just completely dead-ended. The situation is when they come down that road that's currently blocked off, the first thing they do, they pour right through our street. It doesn't affect the people with the street down below or the street above, because the only access is just speeding wide open through there. And then hope they don't take something out when they go on two wheels around the sidewalk. I would like, if they can't decide on something like, put something permanent, I would like to see if they remove the orange barriers that they have up there now. If they remove them, I would at least like to see a trial of a few months to totally block that off. If nobody can come to an agreement, at least let's try that.
Okay,
You
thank you.
know, that, I think that would be fair. We've tried it for the other. So if nobody's comfortable with doing it or there's a problem, then at least put it on a temporary basis. That's all I like to see.
All right.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Good.
And I will, in reference to Commissioner DeVito's comment, I will go ahead and just share with everybody to correct that, is that I was trying to bring Commissioner Bailey, who this action took place before he was here, so that he could have an understanding what you were speaking of. So I drew the roads out, showed him where the barrier is currently, and where you're proposing we move the barrier. So I just wanted for clarification for the public, so that no one thinks that we're sharing something that we should not be sharing. So, are
Is
you
your
happy
map
with
better than mine?
It is. It is. At least I believe he understood it, so thank you. Yes, sir.
Craig Sargent, 400 Pine, and, you know, I would have no problem with roundabouts or what's a bump out, where it just sticks out from the side, so it's forced. I have no problem with that, as long as, I think, as long as we can put stuff in the middle or put flowers in the middle, I think that would be a great, I think that would be neat,
It'd be pretty.
yeah,
Yeah.
so.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you. Okay, so right now we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. So moved. And Commissioner Bailey, I will tell you that you're coming into processes that have been in place and things that we've already, we're kind of in the middle of. And so at any time, please, by all means, don't hesitate to stop us and say, can you explain to us what you did and why you did that, by all means, so that you can be brought up to speed, because really that's the only way that you will be, brought up to speed on some of these issues, and you're having to decide on them too, so.
Well, I had a pretty good idea what he was talking about,
Yeah.
and you did the graphic with it, made it pretty crystal clear, and I've been through that area several times before, wondering, just kind of looking what we're gonna do. Appreciate it.
So anytime, don't hesitate to stop and just ask us why is this, and whatever questions you might have, that's what we have.
Well, shy. I
We'll be
like
happy
it.
to answer that. Okay, with that, do we have any other business? I believe, Bobby, we're all good, everybody's good? Okay.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I just have,
Hold on a second, yes.
I just have one, for the February meeting, I just have one request. For the February meeting, myself and Mr. Young are both out of state that whole week.
Mhm.
But I can do any day of the week before or the week after,
Okay,
if the commission was in agreement to move it off of I think it's on February 9th is the current date.
so can we put that on the December agenda? Mr. Ryan?
Yeah, that's fine, I just wanted to give you all.
Okay, yeah, so that'll give us a chance, so that we're not caught by surprise, and that'll give us an opportunity for everybody to look at their calendar for February and to move that so that we have proper counsel at the meeting.
That
So
works.
with that, commissioners, do we have any other comments? Yes?
Sure, we've probably all aware that the school district bond issue passed. And there was an article in the paper recently where the school district talked about their plans for the Miller property site on South Prospect. What Commissioner Cerency was quoted as saying in the newspaper article in Black Daily News was different from what they have said in other presentations. I'm thinking, and I talked to Mr. Rudd about this, I'm thinking that it would be prudent for this commission to request the school district to come and speak directly to us. I mean, this is, we've said this before in meetings, we've had the public here. This is a significant piece of property in the city. It's going to affect the neighborhood on South Prospect. It's going to affect our historic district. As I understand it from what Superintendent Cerency said, they're actually planning to demolish one of the historic buildings that contributes to the historic district, the main Miller Middle School building. I mean, it's not, that's not what they have said before. This will have a tremendous impact on Crescent City, the traffic, historic district, the CRA, the Main Street program. And I'm just concerned that we're finding out things in the newspaper, and I think it's up to us to talk to them directly and be able to ask questions. Can we request them to come at the earliest opportunity?
We can possibly request them, but we also have to understand that we have no control over what the district does. And we cannot dictate to the district what they can and cannot do.
But we have a responsibility to A, understand what is going to be happening here, and B, to advocate for our city.
Well, we do, and I think we have, and we've been in discussions with them, and they know that. So I guess, Mr. Rudd, you can maybe reach out to Superintendent Cerency and see if they would be willing to come in and address us again. And kind of go over what their timeline is.
I make a suggestion, instead of coming to the commission, can they do a, what do you want to call it, a community kind of event at the school that they're going to rip down, where more people can come and more people can be active, and have them handle that.
I think
Not
that's
here.
probably the
Not
better,
here.
I would have to say that's probably the better forum, so
That's what I
that,
mean.
depending on how many people are going to attend, they did that once at the auditorium. But
They can go through that with many more people than what's going to come in here.
Okay, so you don't think that they should start here and that we should have the ability to ask them about things that are going to affect our infrastructure and the lake?
I think that you can ask those questions at that time. What if they do, no matter where they do it, I believe that you'll be able to ask those questions, yes.
So it's not our responsibility to advocate for
no,
our
she did not
neighborhood?
say that. Wait a second, don't not put words in
Yeah.
anybody's mouth.
No, I'm asking.
She didn't say that.
What I'm saying is, we really don't have any say in what they're going to kind of be doing, okay? You might believe that we do, but they basically are calling the shots on what they're gonna do with the school and how they're gonna do it.
And I think
I
that
mean,
we also, if we're going to talk to them about that, and we haven't, you would have to also offer them some alternatives.
Well, we could do that. I mean, I've
I don't
heard,
know that that's our, that we
I
have
don't
that.
know if we have any
We're kind of, yeah,
alternatives.
we're kind of overstepping our, you know, our.
We invited them, I invited them down for an informational session
Yeah,
months ago,
Yeah.
and the public wanted it to be a school board meeting,
right.
to ask, have a Q&A with the public at our meeting. And so it was kind of, in hindsight, we're like, well, probably wasn't a good idea to have them come present to us, because the people that came wanted something more.
Yeah.
So that later they had a larger capacity room with a larger audience. So I understand what you're saying.
I think that works better.
We might be able to handle it here, and then our meeting would become a school board meeting for them defending or proposing their position.
Which is really what happened at that meeting. We were criticized because people thought that it was gonna be more of a school
People wanted
board
to question
meeting.
the
A
school
school
board.
board meeting, and it was really them directing, you know, speaking to us. So I think before we get any further, we need to really talk to Superintendent Cerency
See if
and find out what they're
maybe he has
willing,
plans already.
what his plans are and what they're willing to do. They might already have some public workshops planned for down here. I don't know. So if you'll reach out to him and then just let the commission know.
Well, let me ask you, what is the plan? I keep on hearing this, then something else in the paper, and they putting something else somewhere else.
Well, that's
What
why-
is the plan?
That's why we need for them to come on down and tell us what the plan is. And they need to tell everybody what the plan is.
Yeah,
But we can't necessarily tell them what the plan is.
no.
well, Mayor, if I could, we can't tell them what the plan is, but we represent the city, we represent the CRA, and in the past, we've had residents here pointing out that whatever is done on that site will have a huge impact on economic development and the neighborhood. Some of the people that spoke are in the audience. We do have the ability to negotiate with the school board. They've said that they're interested in the impact on the community, and I think that we are the people first and foremost to have that discussion with them. I'm not against a public forum, but I think it's our responsibility to have that discussion. And as well, for economic development, we do have options, and we do have the ability to negotiate.
And what
We
would,
just need to make use of those and have some creativity. And there have been suggestions about that in the past. So I think it would be very productive to have them here and to have a direct conversation with the commission. And we can make it very clear that a public meeting will be forthcoming later. But I find it very concerning that the school board has talked over the past 2 years with a lot of private organizations. I've heard them speak twice at Rotary. But they should be coming to the city commission, and we should be asking them here to talk to us.
May I?
It's our responsibility.
just let her finish, she's has the floor.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, and actually, so you said you're in touch with them. Have you had meetings with the school board?
I have spoken to them. I haven't had one with them recently, but I have spoken to, not with the school board, no. I spoke to, Superintendent Cerency and Mr. Bolden. And, so I have, you know, I've asked questions, I've asked questions too. We all have that ability to ask those questions. But I'm gonna also say, you know, they've been given options, and I'm not quite sure what you want us to negotiate with. What is it that you want to negotiate with?
Well, I would like to.
And I don't think that this
Right.
meeting is the place for us to get into this.
I just want to say one thing, and then you can give it back, Commissioner. There has already things that have been happening, there's already things that the Christian Service Center has already received their pink slip. They need to be out by the end of January, I believe.
March,
The historic
March 31st.
Well, I don't know, I've heard a couple dates for different people. But March 31st, the Historical Society has to move out of there. Anything right now that is in that building has to be, I guess, out by March 31st. I don't think that we're going to change their mind. I really don't. They have a plan in place, they're gonna move forward. I think it's important that the community understands how they're gonna do that and how it's going to affect us. I think we all know how it's going to affect us. a lot of us, if I go around town, we did not vote for the bond because of the increase in taxes that's gonna bring all of the residents here. But we lost that battle. I think all of Crescent City said, hey, we don't want a school here. We lost that battle. We're not, I just don't think that we're gonna change a whole lot of what they're gonna do. I mean, I think we should listen to them, but I don't think that we have the ability to make them do something different. That's just my opinion. And, you know, we can have a meeting, and then we can have another meeting, then we can have another meeting,
Okay.
and it's just gonna be right where it is today.
So I'm back where, if you would reach out to superintendent and find out what they, you know, if they would be willing to come back down and how they, and what forum they want to do it in. You know, we can't demand anything of them. I mean, if anybody's impacted the most, I'm impacted. It's right down, it's on, you know, a block from my house. It's right, they're gonna run right back to where the middle school was, where in the mornings, and, you know, they're flying down my road trying to get their children there. You know, it's been very quiet, it's been nice and peaceful since they closed it. So, I mean, I understand, and I'm not any happier about this either, but I also know that reality is, they're gonna probably do what, you know, what they feel that they need to do, and right now they own that property. And, you know, we would, from an economic standpoint, I think we can all agree, we would all benefit if they would do something with that property outside of building a school.
So, but we've never actually had that discussion with the school board or the representatives of the school board. We've never had that discussion. Never. And I think it is our responsibility as a commission to have them come speak directly to us. I was surprised they didn't do that 2 years ago, and I think now is the time, because we can only speculate about what we're going to do. And I think they owe this commission more than letting us read the general description in the newspaper. So I would like to invite them here
Okay.
to a committee.
Thank you.
I just have one thing I'd like to ask them. Isn't there gonna have to require permits or something to build something from the town and get the city's permission to do anything? I mean, they can do whatever they want with that
An
property.
independent unit of government.
So
So
they're
they'll
a
have to-
complete separate entity away from the city's jurisdiction.
They'll probably have their own building inspectors and their own process.
Well, I have a question about that.
Well, Mr. Banks has,
Oh, I'm
he
sorry.
wanted to speak. Commissioner Banks.
Well, let me say this, thank you. We going back in the file, we ain't getting nowhere. So what the purpose of keep on going back in the file about it? If we said that we're gonna get them down here, well, good,
Let's get them done.
turn it over to the city manager and let him see, can he get them to meet with us? And that's it. And then we can ask them them questions. By us going back and forth, we don't know. I know I don't.
So I think that's.
It makes more logical sense than us just going back and forth, wasting time. We ain't going nowhere.
So Charles will do that, and he'll reach out to all of us.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Great.
Thank you. Yes.
I do have one question for the city manager. I asked you, and I think the answer I got back from you, from the planners, was that we have no control over anything that they do. Does that extend to our city streets and curb cuts?
I'll have to find out the extent of their immunity and get back to you.
I mean, I would really like to know that, and as well, there are a lot of traffic issues coming out of this, so I would like to know with more specifics.
Okay, thank you.
That would help.
Okay, with that, can I get a motion to adjourn?
I already.
You already made, you made a motion.
Yeah.
Second.
You second it. All in favor, say aye.
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 Hi.
Okay, thank you. Thank you all for coming.